Okay, I'm going to be playing through a Dawn of War skirmish and discussing some of the units that are being used. I've set this map as going to be 2v2, myself and an AI versus two AIs, so there should be plenty of guys moving on the map. I've set all the factions to be the same. Oh, I'm going to set this guy real quick. Done. So all the factions are going to be the same. The AI are fairly difficulty, so they'll build lots of units. We should see lots of units being out there. I'm going to try to use one of just about every unit that's offered in the game, so we can see lots of the different unit types and how they interact. Many different factions have different takes on the same kind of basic units, but I figured getting to kind of repeatedly see the same units used in the same context is going to make it, or in different contexts, is going to make it a lot easier to follow. So let's go ahead and start it off. So we're Space Marines there. Units tend to be fairly tough and start out as all-arounders, but then you upgrade them to specific purposes. So right when we start off, the first thing you're going to notice is Dawn of War, unlike other RTSs, doesn't have a base, or doesn't have base building. You start off with a base, it builds all your units out of there. I'm going to go ahead and build one right now. And you literally upgrade from Tier 1 to Tier 2 to Tier 3, unlocking the units at that tier. You'll also see it unlock some upgrades on the individual units. Now, the two resources are requisition and power. The big numbers are how much I have. The small numbers is how much I'm gaining per minute. So you can see I'm getting a lot of requisition. I'm not getting a lot of power. Requisition is generally what you use to build units. Power is generally what you use to build high-tech and upgrades. Sorry, I'm just going to be setting some things up. Great. So, on the map are power points. On the power points, we can build, once we capture them, we can build a node and soon build generators to generate quite a bit of power. There's also requisition points. Requisition points, once we captured, will generate requisition over time. They're also going to mature. They'll gain more value. They'll produce more the longer that we hold them. So I've captured that. I'm moving my scouts in to a position. Scouts are very kind of like light infantry. They're pretty fast. They do decent damage if they're left alone, but you also don't want to let them get into trouble. So he's just kind of shooting free shots of this. This is a hero unit. You start off by picking a hero unit. So they're doing quite a bit of damage against that. And they're going to retreat away from that. They're a little outmatched there. Meanwhile, these guys are moving in towards the middle. Tactical Marines, the other unit I built, are kind of heavy ranged infantry. They do decent amount of damage at range. They're particularly resilient, but can be upgraded to be specialized against one particular enemy type. And then their kind of special trait is they can change their updates throughout the game. So you can see on this left-hand panel, I can activate different upgrades. I can get the flamethrower right now, which is really great against like large numbers of infantry or buildings, particularly raiding enemy power. I can get a sergeant, which will unlock a couple of new abilities and give an additional squad member. A plasma gun, which is just going to make them better against infantry and heavy infantry, basically what they're good against to begin with. And a missile launcher, which will make them effective against heavy vehicles, vehicles and heavy infantry. Oh my gosh, get back here. This game uses a cover system, so my guys are showing that little green light. They're in heavy cover, which means they're very resilient against ranged attacks. Okay, so my first big purchase with power, so I barely have over 40 power. I'm going to spend 30 of that on a Devastator squad. Devastator squad's like a heavy machine gun squad. Devastators is going to help me control some space, which you notice, like, I kind of have guys running past me all the time. Jeez, I have a lot of guys running past me. And a lot of upgrades coming up against me. So hopefully this is going to help me control space a little bit better and have people running past me less. And you're going to see how that works shortly. Moving these guys to cover where they can more effectively fight at range. My scouts took losses, so they're going to have to go back at home and resupply, costing me requisition to replace those scout units. I'm also going to buy some Beakies, some Assault Marines, which are going to be my melee unit, and you're going to see kind of how melee units work shortly. Units that tend to want to fight at range, want to stay at range. Melee just want to stay in melee. Alright, so my Devastators are setting up. They take a little bit of time to set up, and then they're going to lay down a pretty heavy amount of fire, and they actually suppress the enemy, which notice they move slower, and they also can fire back less until they break and start retreating. So now these guys set up and they cover this nice arc, and they're really controlling this area. All my units gain experience and level up. So you can see these guys are about halfway to a level. Regular units can hit up to level 4 and become extremely powerful at that point. Oop, get out of here. That guy might die. Hero units can reach up to level 10. We'll see if we can lure him into this ranged attack. Ooh, I can hear it firing. Yeah, I got him good and suppressed. Now he's routed off. Now I can try to capture some of these points. So these guys are banged up, but I really want them to control this space a little bit and stop the enemy from coming home. So you can see I've been pushed back quite a bit. I'm trying to hold this line and then eventually creep my territory forward. And the hero units can buy a variety of upgrades. So I'm generally going to try to make this guy kind of tanky, probably able to take down vehicles. I like to give him the teleporter so he can close in. Ooh! Alright, well that's what jump marines do. They land on your guys and really mess them up. So my guys are getting pretty victimized in melee. They got knocked over and disrupted, but I'm trying to lure them backwards into the Devastators, who hopefully will set up shortly. They're not set up because they're taking a point. Force Commander's coming back out. My nice little bulky hero unit. Scouts are walking away, and suppression hit, and that's going to rout them. Alright, so now I have my own Beaky, so I can start playing that fun game. Got my own Assault Marines. This game, you win it by taking tickets from the enemy, by controlling the main control points. So right now the enemy has 2, so they're draining some from me, and I'm not draining any from them. Okay. Now my big concern is I have no power. So I'm spending a lot of requisition to build power, and I just put them up in a place that I really don't control, so now I'm going to try to go up there and control it. I'm going to set up my Devastators to try to get to a better position, and I'm starting to buy some kind of basic unit upgrades to make them better at their specific role, which is costing me requisition. And most importantly, power. I'm really struggling to get to Tier 2, and I really need to get there soon because enemy vehicles are going to be out on the field soon. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to land some beaks on this guy. You're going to see, boom, big hits. So it knocks the enemies over, disrupts them, stops them from using the ranged weapon. There's a basic vehicle, so my enemy is definitely at Tier 2. That's a transport that allows you to heal and resupply near it, but it's not a... It does okay damage, but it's not very, very scary. However, I definitely don't want this kind of trend to continue. I need to hit Tier 2 soon. So I'm saving up my power until I can get to 125, which is a threshold that lets me hit Tier 2. I mean, I could scrape this guy. I'll do a little bit of damage, but I'm just kind of scraping away at his health. Vehicles also destroy cover, both a line of sight blocking objects and actual cover, which makes them very good for breaking positions. So you're going to see there's quite a bit of cover here at the beginning of the game. There is not going to be very much cover near the end. These guys are in heavy covers. They're pretty well protected. They're ready to have a nice little gunfight. I'm going to leave my Marines back there to defend. And these units are fighting, but they're really not in danger of... Oh, they're in danger of killing that guy. Yeah, the vehicles being able to move backwards makes them quite a bit more faster. Ooh, and actually just beat a vehicle down. So that's nice. Those guys need to go back and heal. We need to upgrade. So now I'm starting the upgrade to Tier 2, which is going to allow me to both put units into production, and probably more immediately I'm going to probably purchase upgrades to kind of keep myself up to date in the vehicle race, because the vehicle race, I'm pretty lucky that they built a transport and not a walker. Here's a walker. It's a dreadnought. It can be equipped either with a melee weapon or a ranged weapon. This one has an assault cannon, which is going to make it very effective against infantry, which is sad times for me because I'm an all-infantry army. If it had its just other melee weapon, it would be very scary in melee. Walkers tend to be very, very resilient, but also slow. So you can see how he just kind of pushed me away from a position. I shouldn't have upgraded those guys that way. That's fine. So I'm trying to... I really don't want to be in this position. You can see how I've been pushed all the way back in the field. I'm probably going to lose some points. I'm trying to... desperately trying to purchase some upgrades that are going to allow me to fight anti-tank. This guy's just too dangerous for me to deal with. They give you some turrets in your base to kind of keep units out, but they don't work. They work great against infantry, but not very well against vehicles. Hopefully my guys are scratching this. Ugh. Doing very little damage. and Predator. So this is a Predator tank. It's a very fast vehicle that does a lot of damage at range, but it's very fragile. So that means I'm actually at tier 3 before I'm at tier 2, which is not great. Okay, I am at tier 2 now, so now I can start buying unit upgrades that are going to allow me to fight back. Hopefully, the biggest one's going to be the missile launcher on these tactical marines. So buying a missile launcher makes them effective against vehicles, help me get out of this turtling position where I'm just getting beat up. And then I'm also going to be able to buy a Power Fist, which is a heavy melee weapon, going to make my Force Commander very effective against vehicles. I'm going to build him a teleporter pack so he can close the distance with vehicles very quickly. I'm basically just going through one by one and buying anti-vehicle attack for all my existing infantry. And I lost my Devastators at some point. Sad story. I'm buying bomb pack for my... Eventually buying a bomb pack for my assault marines. Oh no, stay on that guy. So the other resource in this game is called Red, which is gained by killing units, and also having your own units killed, and allows you to activate global abilities. So one of those abilities is a buff to my units. One is drops a drop pod, which allows them to reinforce. Others allow me to purchase super units and teleport them onto the fight, into the battlefield. And every race has just a global big damage ability. So the AI is just destroying me. I'm not going to win this. We can kind of see how the AI hit tier 2, got vehicles out, used those vehicles to push me back, and then I was so far behind on tech that I wasn't able to purchase the units. The real issue was that I spent a ton of requisition buying units and no requisition buying power. So now I have to go up and try to buy get some of the tickets back. Honestly, I'm so choked out that I don't know if there's going to be a whole lot I can do. So taking back a victory point is going to make me bleed tickets much slower. That's probably priority number 1. Those guys really can't take that point, so I'm going to knock them off of it. Yeah, I think I need to upgrade the units that I have. These guys have a missile launcher, so they should be able to destroy the node and then capture the point back so I can start having power again, which would be swell. Okay. Now I'm moving my way up to the other requisition point and trying to get a little bit more economic presence on the map. I need to get a lot of my forces up here. So these guys upgraded with an anti-vehicle bomb, so they're able to do at least a little bit to the vehicle. And then this guy, my force commander, has an anti-vehicle melee weapon, so he can actually punch it if he can pathfind there, and literally punch this tank to death. But he's never going to fight through all these soldiers. He's tough, but just outmatched. Especially by another force commander. Whew, okay. Well, this is pretty much what a... Ooh, and then my force commander's down. He's my hero unit, so I get an opportunity to revive him. But this is pretty much what a game of Dawn of War looks like. I did okay getting out onto the field early, and then just got swamped in the first wave, and tried multiple times to push my way back. But the enemy used the advantage that they had, having more map control, having more resources to advance to a higher tech level, and keep on changing their army composition. So they got vehicles like the Dreadnought and the Razorback, that transport I was talking about, earlier than I did, and then even the Predator, the tank, earlier than I did. And they kept on changing their unit type, and so I wasn't able to keep up and effectively cover the map. I kept on taking out the unit and having to retreat, and not taking out the unit and having to retreat until they controlled so much more of the resources. So that's just kind of the general ebb and flow. Usually it's not that big of a stomp, but I thought I was up to snuff, and I was not. All right, well, that's pretty much the video. Thank you much.